I got a little secret for you. If I never had to say the word calories again, I would be a very happy girl. If you have ever been on my live streams, read my blog posts, read my Facebook post, anything like that, you know I talk about calories a lot. And even just now saying that word, I just want to... I'm sick of it. I'm sick of saying the word calories. So this free training, I was feeling so generous today, I want to do this free training for you, is on how to lose weight, gain health, and basically look hot, fit back into your favorite super sexy slim jeans again, without counting calories and without going on a diet. And if I'm honest, the reason I'm doing this absolutely free training is because I really don't want to say that word, that C word. That sounds rude, doesn't it? It almost is rude. I don't want to say that calories word ever again. So when people ask me questions, I'm going to send them to this free training that I'm doing once off, once only, and then I can be done with it. I can be done with it. So I bet you want to know, because, you know, we all want to sometimes shed a little extra, a little weight that we're not too happy with, and we want to fit back into our favorite jeans. We want to look and feel great. But who's got time to count every single calorie in and out? Or who wants to live that way? Certainly not me. And that surprises some people because I talk about it all the time. They assume that I know every calorie on everything and I count them in and out and I'm super strict and all of this kind of thing, but it's just not true. So I thought I'd do this training and I'll tell you how I deal with it without strictly counting everything in. Does that sound good? I've got 2 people there. Give me a thumbs up or a hello or a comment if this is sounding like what you want to hear. If you don't already know me, and I know most of the people on this live training will, but if you don't, I'm Chris Tinsley. I've been a food, fitness and fat loss coach for over 20 years now. That's a bloody long time. And I've learnt so much in that time that I feel like it's my responsibility to give back, because there is so much bullshit out there and it drives me insane. So I'm a little tiny voice in a sea of madness with all of the marketing crap and, you know, all of these horrible messages that you're getting told on how to lose weight and be healthy. And I'm just trying to shout my sane little 20 years of experience so that people don't have to fall for the bullshit and the extreme measures. And I do not teach from a place of high up in an ivory tower of perfection. I teach from in the trenches with you guys. I sometimes have weight struggles. I've been 10 kilos heavier and a couple of kilos less. I live in this modern world filled with, you know, all these yummy treat foods that sometimes I fall for as well. And I'm human just like you. So let's get that out of the way. I don't wake up in the morning and think, oh, let's go do hill sprints and push-ups and live on kale superfood salads. I'm just like you. So that's where I teach from, down in the trenches with you guys. And anybody who's been with me for a while will know that. So let's get started. If you are there, please say hi. Let's get started. But before I dive in, I just want to make it clear, even though I don't want to say that C word anymore, I have to talk about it on this training, that calories do count and they do matter. So if you are coming here seeing the headline of this training and thinking, yay, there's a way to get around it and to have some magic formula or something like that, no. I've got to sneeze. How embarrassing, in the middle. No, it's gone away. There it is. Real life stuff, huh? So the only way that weight loss happens, the absolutely only way, is to create a calorie deficit. Now that's a technical term, and it means to consume less calories than you burn in a 24-hour period. I'm going to do this little blurb once, and I'm going to do it once only, and bear with me because I have to just get this out of the way, and then we're going to move into the good stuff on how to achieve this without counting them. Trust me. Okay, so let's assume how many calories does Sally burn each day, and this is Sally's energy tank. Now, if anybody is there, who can tell me all the ways that Sally burns calories in a 24-hour period? If you're there, do you know what? I don't know if I can see comments. There we go. If you are there, please comment in or ask any questions or give me a thumbs up or say hi. But all the way that Sally burns calories in a 24-hour period is mostly the bulk of her calories will come from just being alive. So if Sally was to be hooked up to a hospital bed, not moving a muscle, in a coma, but her organs are working and her heart's pumping and she's breathing and she's still alive, then she will still continue to burn calories just to stay alive. And that is the bulk of the calories that she burns that day. So let's say, that's the bulk. This is her energy tank. The bulk of it is what we call a BMR, and it's a technical term for base metabolic rate, and it just means the calories she burns by being alive. Then Sally burns a few more by getting up and moving around. So if she was laying in a bed, she's not burning that many calories per minute, but when she gets up and moves around, she burns a few more over the course of her 16 waking hours. Then if she gives a little more oomph to her movement, let's say exercise, she burns a few more, but it's just for an hour out of her 16 waking hours, so it's not that many more. And she burns a few more calories by digesting food. So every time Sally eats, just that factor of her body digesting the food burns a few more calories. She burns a tiny bit more by temperature regulation. So if she's hot, like a day like today, it's been nice and hot for her body to try and cool itself down, she'll burn a few more. No, that's pretty much it, I think. If she had lots of muscle on her body, she'd burn a tiny bit more. But in a 24-hour period, this is her energy tank, and let's assume that Sally burns 2,000 calories a day. Now, I can give you guys a calculator that will give you a very rough estimate. But please know, you are just estimating. When you type anything into a calculator, or you've got a little Fitbit, or whatever it might be, you're guessing, you're estimating. Sometimes it's a pretty good estimate, but it's an estimate nonetheless. So getting super obsessive and super strict is never helpful. Usually never helpful. Let's assume that Sally burns 2,000 calories per day. If Sally puts in 2,000 via the food and drinks that she puts in her mouth, she stays the same weight. That's called calorie balance. Doesn't matter what food she chooses, calorie balance stays the same weight. If Sally burns 2,000 calories but only puts in 1,500, see this gap? She burns 2,000 in a 24-hour period, but she only eats and drinks 1,500. This little area here is called a deficit. And this deficit has to be made up from somewhere. It has to be made up from somewhere on the body. So if it was a car on a road trip and it needed 70 litres of fuel, but you only put in 60, it's going to conk out. But in the case of the human body, we don't just conk out, otherwise we would have died off millions of years ago. We have a reserve energy tank. How cool is that? And it's this body fat stored under the skin here. See, I've got plenty too. I'm a personal trainer and I've taught this stuff for 20 years. I've got this, a little bit extra than I might like at certain times, but this is our reserve energy tank. It's where our calories are stored that we've consumed at some stage in our past, but we haven't used up yet. That's what it's there for. It's not good, bad, ugly, evil, any other negative words you want to associate with it. It's a reserve energy tank. So let's say Sally's, she's got this puddle of her reserve energy tank here, which is body fat. This gets used up in the deficit. Yay! And she does that a little bit one day, then a little bit the next day, then a little bit the next day, and she strings a few of those days together, and then she achieves weight loss. How does weight gain happen? Sally burns 2,000 calories, but she puts in 2,300, and she has a spillover effect. This goes into this puddle, which is body fat, and she gains some. Usually a tiny bit one day, a tiny bit the next, a tiny bit, until 6 months later you wake up and you're 7 kilos heavier, or your jeans don't fit, or whatever it might be. But it doesn't usually happen overnight. It's a tiny process, either adding or losing. I know we're all impatient to lose and we want it to happen yesterday, but it is a tiny process. Now, the thing I always want to make clear is that this can happen, and this can happen no matter what food choices. So people assume that this has to be all healthy, and that body fat gain is mostly from unhealthy foods, but it's not the case. You can lose weight on, well, there was an example, there's been lots of examples, but a recent example of a professor in America who ate nothing but McDonald's for, I think, 3 months, but he created a calorie deficit and he lost weight and all of his health markers improved. And we all know that we, at some stages, or friends of ours or us ourselves, have been eating healthy, yet not losing weight or actually gaining, because we're just eating a tiny bit more than we need. So sometimes it's about the quantity, not necessarily the quality. Now, I don't want you to live on Macca's for every day, or, Macca's isn't ideal, but I'm just highlighting that point that calorie deficit always equals weight loss, no matter what the food, and calorie surplus always equals weight gain, no matter what the food. Now, what foods you choose will make a difference to how you feel. Do you feel energized? Do you feel healthy? How many nutrients you're getting? If you're losing muscle or fat, that's a video for another day. And it also makes a big difference to how full you feel. So fullness is king, and we'll talk about that a little bit as I go on. Sorry, just dropped the pen there. All right, I've got some notes here, so please forgive me if I'm looking down. But my clients tell me, I totally get this, Chris. I'm on board. I've heard you rabbit on about it 100 million, 1,000, trillion, billion times, which is why I never want to say that bloody calorie word again. I'm sick of it. But I can't live my life that way. I cannot count every single calorie in and calorie out. That's what my clients tell me. And guess what? I get it. And I don't either. This is the point that I don't think I've made clear enough. Just because calories count doesn't mean you have to count them. So we know that to get richer, wealthier in money, you have to earn more money than you spend. But it doesn't mean you have to count every single dollar in and every single cent and dollar out. We generally just trend our earning. We try and trend our earnings upwards and trend our spending downwards. Some people love to count every little bit and do a spreadsheet and the whole bit, calories or dollars. That's fine. Knock yourselves out. If that is you, you're probably not on this video. That's not me. Calories or dollars. I just want to see one trend up and one trend down, and that's all we need to know. I promise you, I'm going to make it easy on this video. Okay, that's what I do. If I feel my jeans getting tight, I just make sure my output goes up a little bit and my input goes down. But there's fine print. My output, so how much I move and exercise, will go up. I'll do more of that without overdoing it, without getting injured, without getting drained, without feeling exhausted. So there's fine print. And what goes in my mouth, I'll get the calories down, but without starving myself, and whilst getting as much fullness as possible and as much nutrients as possible for health and vitality. So there is some fine print there, we know that. Doesn't mean, we have to live on kale superfood salads at all, but you need to have a little bit of mindfulness around that, in that you're choosing foods that keep you full. Fullness is king. Is anybody there? If you are, please say hi or give me a question, or a thumbs up or a love heart or whatever it might be if you're finding this useful. So now I want to talk about how to get the intake trending down and the output trending up. And I want you to do a little imagination exercise for me and close your eyes. It's going to be hard imagination exercise. And just imagine you have never read a diet book, read a magazine, seen a social media post about anything health, fitness, diet related, body weight related. You've never seen that. You're going to unlearn everything, because 90% of it's crap. I hate to say that, because there's probably a really lot of good stuff out there, and there's a few voices in this crowd that are really trying to get the truth out there, but a lot of it is crap. So we're going to try and imagine you never heard any of that stuff, and just what you know in your common sense self, what would trend the input down and trend the outtake up. So smaller portion sizes, more veggies, less, big heavy foods. Reducing fats, so just 1 teaspoon of oil or butter or heavy rich cream or something like that adds 100 calories. That doesn't mean they're unhealthy or that you should totally get them down to nil, but a little goes a long way. So if you've got a salad that you've made at home and you've put a teaspoon of olive oil on it, that's fantastic. That's added 100 calories of goodness. That's great. But if you do that same thing out in a restaurant and they've done a big slurp, like a Jamie Oliver slurp, have you ever watched him with the olive oil, although he's getting better, then you might have added 400 or 500 calories. And you say, I've just had a chicken salad, how am I gaining this weight? But the little things like that and the fats and oils, I'd say to reduce them. Don't eat when not hungry. Seems so obvious, but people want to eat by the clock. Oh, it's breakfast time. I'm told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I'm not hungry, but I should put food in. No, just listen to your body and don't eat when not hungry. But don't wait till ravenous either. We want to get to that fairly hungry to eat. Choose filling meals. So let's say a tuna and salad sandwich on grainy bread might be 350 calories, and it might keep you full for hours and hours. It's going to give you a moderate blood sugar rise and fall. That's a video for another day also. And let's compare that to a handful of potato chips. Same amount of calories, 350 calories. Big blood sugar spike and crash, and you're going to be hungry again in 5 minutes. So foods that keep you full for the relative calorie spend are going to be your best friend. We call them value calories. The same as if you were on a money budget. Are you going to spend all your money at the $2 shop? Yes, it's cheap, but it's all full of crap. Or are you going to spend it on good quality value things that you're going to have forever? That same thing, value, not cheap. So yeah, don't have things that don't keep you full, or don't have many of them, like drinks especially things that are meant to be healthy, juices and some smoothies and things like that. Did you know that some Boost, just say a low-fat banana Boost smoothie, the large one, I think only original size one, there's more calories than a Big Mac. That's not saying one's healthier than the other. That's not saying the Boost juice is not healthy. But if you're looking at weight management, you need to know that kind of thing. As I said, you don't have to strictly count everything in and out. But when you're aware, knowledge is power, and you can start to trend that calorie intake number down, and with that feeling of confidence and empowerment. And how do we trend our calorie output up? Is we get up off our butt and we move more over our 16 waking hours. Most people just think of the exercise session, and once that's ticked off, that's it, they're done, free ride. But what if you're awake for 16, 17 hours and most of them, 99% of those hours or 95% of them are sitting on your butt? You're still not burning a lot. Now that doesn't mean you have to stand up and move and be around every second of the day, but more moving, less sitting is always going to help. But don't compensate by eating or resting more than you normally would, because that quickly gets cancelled out. And do it in a way you enjoy, because we want this to be a long-term maintenance thing that you can do forever and ever. So the more enjoyment and positive feelings you put into it, then the easier it's going to be. How is this going so far? Is this making sense to everybody? Give me a thumbs up. I got one thumbs up. Thank you. Now, I spoke about becoming calorie aware. Now, people have this headspace of, oh my God, I can't think about calories. It's so obsessive and it leads to eating disorders and this and that. And so they totally stick their head in the sand. And it's like, I'm not even going to look at all. I don't want to know anything. But there is a middle ground. There is just being calorie aware without going to either extreme of denial or, totally counting everything. I just realised that that's backwards. I'm sorry, but hopefully you got the gist of that. So I had a party on the weekend and there were dips, chips and dips and crackers. I always make a dip with veggie sticks, carrots and celery and things like that. And when I looked on the calorie pack, I enjoyed all the dips. So it wasn't like I enjoyed one and I didn't enjoy the other. But when I looked on there, one of the dips had about 100 calories for the whole tub. Those are my Chobani, my favourite Chobani ones. Might have been like 120 calories. And the other dip, full of cashews, I think it was, so a high-fat, still healthy, but high-fat food, had, I think, around 800 calories for the tub. So little awareness in that case goes a long way. Obviously, I didn't eat the whole tub, but I probably could. I like chips and dips and crunchy, snacky, savoury things. I probably could eat the whole tub. And those are the little things that all add up, but knowledge is power. I recently posted some really cool visual images from Moving Dietitian on a plate full of, say, a meal, chicken and salad, 400 calories, and then a very, very similar looking plate, maybe double the calories. And that's the thing, it's very hard to tell, but the more knowledge you get and the more awareness, then you'll become better at that kind of thing. I will link to that article in the comment section below because it was so interesting. They looked so similar, so you have to be aware. Most of it was from high-fat additives, as I said before. They add up quickly. And I'm not getting down on fat. I'm not saying it's not healthy or anything. I'm just saying if weight loss is your goal, you can't have everything. You can't keep adding and adding and adding. All right, I'm just going to move my little things here. Oh, this is an interesting one that most of my clients didn't know. The difference between gaining 10 kilos. So I'm at the moment around 67 kilos. If I then started to eat more and more and I gained 10 kilos and I was 77 kilos, how much extra do you think I would need to eat and drink each day for a 10 kilo weight gain? Because we have this image of excess and gluttony and laziness, when in actual fact, for me to gain 10 kilos, it's just 300 extra calories per day, which is like 2 glasses of wine or a little chocky or a couple of bickies or, you know, some crackers. It's a really small amount. It's quite disheartening, isn't it? But the good news is that if you knock 300 calories off over time, then you can lose 10 kilos. But it is a slow chip away process where I talked about tiny improvement, day by day, and eventually you'll get there. So it makes you think twice when you just think, oh, my weakness is crunchy, nibbly things like rice crackers and salt and vinegar chips. And I think just a little bit won't hurt. It makes you think twice when you know it's just that 300 calories. Not done once, extra 300 or whatever it is calories done one day, not a big deal, blip on the radar. But done daily, repeated, over and over and over again, that's when we're getting into that weight gain territory where you wake up, as I said, a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, and you've gained 10 kilos and you think, how the hell did that happen? Now, I've rabbited on for long enough. I think I'm going to cut it short soon. Unless anybody has any questions for me, I'd love to answer them if you are there. The last thing I want to end on is, this is the bit I don't get, that people that don't want to know about calories at all. They're just like, I don't want to know, I can't count, I absolutely cannot count calories, which I get, which we're talking about here. But they think it's like they have to count every calorie or head in the sand. But they're willing to try crazy fad diets, meal replacement shakes. They're willing to try changing the timing of their food. They're willing to try all these outside rules and regulations. So they're actually willing to put in effort. It's not like they're just saying stuff that I couldn't be bothered, I'm not willing to do anything. They're willing to put in effort, but they're putting effort into things that don't make any difference. Timing of the meals only matters if it creates a calorie deficit. Foods that you choose only matter if it creates a calorie deficit. For weight loss, this is. You know, shakes, whatever it is, only matters if it creates. So why don't you just put in the effort to the actual thing that makes the difference? That's the bit that I don't get. If you're willing to put in the effort, why don't you put it into the thing that makes, you know, that we need to happen? The only way you lose weight on Weight Watchers, create a calorie deficit. On paleo, create a calorie deficit. On keto, it's the only way. And I know that if you never sort of focused on that and you might have lost weight, but trust me, if you entered yourself into a science lab and got all hooked up, it would show you clearly the amount that went in was less than the amount that went out. It is the only way. But trendy, anything trending down for the intake and trending up for the output is going to help. There are a lot of common mistakes that people make, and I haven't got time in this video because I've rabbited on long enough, but we do talk about those in full, and we go into much more detail in my Fat Loss Masterclass Success workshop. It's just 2 hours, just like this, me talking to you on video. It's only sort of 5-minute videos split up into approximately 2 hours, a little bit less. But all the common mistakes that people make, how to maximize your exercise sessions and get more out of it, how to read food labels, how to put it all together, how to meal plan, how to choose the foods that you like and fit it in, all of those kinds of things in my Fat Loss Success Masterclass. It's a 2-hour workshop. Anyway, if you're keen on that, it's coming very soon and it's going to be very affordable. And it's yours to keep forever, so if you ever need a refresher. But it's basically the roadmap, everything from A to Z that you will ever need to know. But I've given you so much valuable information here. If you found this information useful, please give me a thumbs up or a love heart. Hit me with a comment or a question. And also, please share. I'd love to get this message out to others because I'm so passionate about busting all the myths so that people are empowered to make the correct choices and the choices that actually make a difference and not fall for all of the fads and all of the marketing and all of the stuff that really doesn't work. Okay, team, have a fit and fantastic day, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments section below. See ya.